everyone, and welcome to your virtual Speakeasy Gala tonight. We are so happy that you are here with us. My name is Tracy Olney, and this is Althea Harris. Many of you know. Look how lucky we are to have Althea with us tonight. Yeah, we're so excited. So we're going to be co-hosting this event tonight. We're making history at the Whatcom Museum with this first ever virtual fundraiser. I think it's a little apropos considering we have the Speakeasy theme. We're at a museum of history and art for Whatcom County. And of course, we're going through some incredibly historical times ourselves right now. This is going to be a year for the books, much like 1920 was when the Speakeasies were first ratified in Congress. So we're going to get to it. We have a lot of things in store, but we want to keep it short for you. I hope you're home having a cocktail like Althea and I are here. We've got our drinks, and so we just want to say cheers to this wonderful evening. Right now, we have our executive director here, Patricia Leach, with a few words to welcome you.
Hi, welcome to the Whatcom Museum Virtual Speakeasy Soiree. I'm Patricia Leach, Executive Director of the Whatcom Museum. You know, tonight's event actually was going to happen in this very building, which would have been buzzing with music and entertainment and all of you. But sadly, we're not going to be able to do that this year. We actually are all together tonight, virtually, and we have planned an hour of entertainment for you, wonderful auction items that we're going to close out very shortly, and you're going to meet several staff people and other museum supporters throughout the hour. So stay tuned, it's going to be a fun hour. You know, we actually closed our doors 6 months ago on March 16th, and at that time we had to sadly furlough our frontline admissions staff, and we watched our admissions and other revenue plummet. However, the staff that remained was determined to fulfill our mission and have done a fantastic job. Our education team pivoted to an online platform, delivering programs and tours and education material. Our marketing staff has done a fantastic job reaching our community, delivering content online. And our amazing exhibition team and curatorial staff have put together a stunning exhibition in the Lightcatcher Gallery entitled Anatomy of a Collection, Recent Acquisitions and Promised Gifts. I'm so proud of the work that our team has done, and now more than ever, this museum needs your support. Please bid high and support the Whatcom Museum tonight. Before we get into the program, I'd like to thank our sponsors, especially People's Bank, our presenting sponsor. You have been so instrumental in supporting the arts, especially this museum. Thank you. A big thanks also goes to U.S. Bank, Heritage Bank, and Salish Wealth Management. You know, we're fortunate that we work with all of you throughout the year, and we're also fortunate that we can call you part of our Whatcom Museum family. And now I'd like to turn this over to Tracy and Althea, and I have a message. Oh, it looks like our mayor is somewhere on the museum campus. Let's see if we can't find him.
Hi, I'm Bellingham Mayor Seth Fleetwood. I'm standing here in the collections room in the basement of the Lightcatcher building in the Whatcom Museum. I first came down here several months ago. I was given a tour by our director and a couple of others. I did not know this place existed. It is the coolest thing. It must be 150 feet by 50 feet wide of nothing but treasure trove of cool community artifacts, and it's a really fun place to be. I'm standing right now next to the Lincoln bust that I understand was in the Lincoln School on James Street in the New York neighborhood back in the day. We are really fortunate in the city of Bellingham to have the treasure that is the Whatcom Museum. It's a place that for years and years people have come to make connections, have social events, share ideas, and just be inspired.
Well, welcome back, everyone. We want to thank Mayor Fleetwood and, of course, Patricia for those words of welcome. You know, Althea and I were talking about it, and one of the advantages to having this virtual event is we get to have the participation of a lot of people that may not have been able to make it to the gala night here at the museum. So it's really interesting, fascinating, and really lucky for us, because it's our opportunity to show a little bit more about what we do for fundraising for the museum, but also it leaves this gap where we need to tell you about a few housekeeping rules. So Althea's going to talk to us a little bit about how things are going to work tonight, what we're going to do, what to expect, and when to expect them. So Althea?
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy. It's weird for me to be up here with Tracy. Normally I'm running around all over the place, so bear with me. As we get started, obviously you've all figured out how to watch the live streamed program, because here we are. We do recommend that you either have two devices, so if you have a cell phone or a tablet or a computer that you can bid on while also watching the program, that's ideal. Otherwise, you can just have two windows open on your device. We'll be closing the silent auction in about 10 minutes, and then the live auctions over the course of the next hour or so. So we do recommend that you get your account set up and make a bid or two now to get familiar with it, and also because you'll need to pre-register a credit card. So that'll happen when you place your first bid, and we don't want you to get down to the last seconds when you're going after that item you really want and be stuck typing in all your card numbers.
That's right.
And then miss it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and set your first bid now. You can also set a maximum bid. So in that same little box where you're setting your bids, type in the max that you would want to bid on that item, and it'll auto bid for you. And that way you don't have to go back and keep checking on it, especially if there are a couple of different items that you're looking at. If you are a winning bidder, the credit card that you pre-register will be charged. Items will be available for pickup at the museum store, but you'll also be getting emails from me. So keep an eye out for that. And then we'll be sending out statements for taxes and things like that next week. So lots more to come from me over the course of the next week or so.
Terrific.
And that's about what I've got.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I went online myself this morning and set up my whole bidding and my credit card information, and it really is worth the time to set that up a little bit early so you're not scrambling at the last minute. And then you also still want to familiarize yourself with these items. And we're going to point out a few of the silent auction items, even though we're going to close it in about 7 minutes now at exactly 6:15. And let me just tell you, we've got the people in the back here telling us exactly when that's going to happen and not a second later. So it's closing at 6:15. We do have a couple of things. The silent auction items, you guys have just really come out in full force with these bids for these fabulous silent auction items. But there are a couple that we'd like to point out just because we want to make sure that you've seen all the little nitty-gritty details. For instance, we have this local getaway to the Inn in Linden, and we had an anonymous donor actually come up and give us a $100 gift card to Steakhouse 9, which is the steakhouse restaurant out at Homestead Golf Course. So that's included with that package. So just in case you didn't know about that, that package right now is up at $255. But there's still plenty of time for you to get those last minute bids in on that fabulous item. What's better than a staycation, huh? Just get away for a couple of days. Just a change of scenery would be great. Another one we want to point out is this fabulous tote. It's the Urban Tote from Fringe. Now here, it's looking a little gray, but I can tell you, first of all, Althea's dress is aqua. It is not this royal blue. It's a gorgeous aqua color. And this tote is really an olive green. It's a beautiful tote, and we just wanted to. The picture in the on the website doesn't do it as much justice as it is here, but this is really really fashionable.
Multiple ways.
Yeah, it can. Exactly, and I want to take a look and see where we're at with that. Right now, Althea, the tote is at $60, so that is a steal. So that might be something you want to take a look at. I mean, let's face it, Christmas is only 2 months away. Oh my goodness. So get those bids in there, folks. Another one, now you may have noticed that the alcoholic auction items that we had, by law, we couldn't put those up on the website until noon today. But oh boy, did you come out in full force with the alcohol. So we have this fabulous trio of Syrahs from the Betts Winery, and they were donated by Dave and Sue Suter. I want to thank them so much for this donation. This is going gangbusters, and we've had a lot of active bidding on this, so don't lose out on where it is right now. You don't want to miss it. It's right now at $170, so not quite at value. So if you're interested, if you're a wine connoisseur, you know Betts wines, and you know that they're going to age beautifully for years and years to come. And again, fabulous with Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinners, all of those. But the Betts Winery is really one of the best in the state, so you can't go wrong. Oh, we have this gift basket. So, Althea, I want you to tell everyone this story a little bit about the probably shouldn't have story behind this distillery, this local distillery. They were set up to join us here tonight if we were having a live event. They were going to be sharing some cocktails, but tell us the story behind that name. I love the name.
So Probably Shouldn't is a great little distillery. They're out in Everson, and they are actually on a blueberry farm. They had the blueberry farm first, and then they originally thought, we should go organic. And people said to them, probably shouldn't. And then they did anyway. So then they said, we should start a distillery. And people went,
Probably
shouldn't. So they are Probably Shouldn't Distillery. And what we have here is all 6 of their signature spirits, including some of these little ones are made with blueberries from their blueberry farm, which is Breckenridge.
These are like the little airport or airline.
Yeah.
Oh, those are so cute.
Little ones. And then full-size bottles of their apple brandy, their whiskey, and their gin.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Great basket.
Well, many of you may have noticed that we also have in the live auction a Middeke bowl. It's gorgeous, but we have several of his pieces in the silent auction tonight. The small one, which is actually almost a perfect match to the one in the live, is right here. We're showing it to you tonight, and that's also in the silent auction. Currently, it's selling at $120, but that's also available for you, to look at.
If you're thinking about the one in the live auction, they would make a great matched set.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's a great piece. It's
Gorgeous.
in great condition.
Yeah. Well, all the Middeke pieces are in great condition. Yeah, they're just fabulous. So, okay, we've got jewelry, and how about cupcakes for a year? I mean, there's all kinds of things. There's literally something for everybody. But I want to talk to you for just a second about these great cocktails that we have from our 3 sponsored distilleries. We have, of course, the Probably Shouldn't Have Distillery. We have Bellwood Farms, and we have Chuckanut Distillery. All 3 of them have come up with their each individual cocktails for this event tonight. The recipes are on the Whatcom Museum website. Even though Althea and I look like we have these fabulous cocktails, they're just a little bit of a mocktail, just to kind of get us through the evening, a little sparkling water and a lemon twist. But I do want to tell you about these fabulous highballs and cocktails. Let's start with Probably Shouldn't Distillery, because we just showed you their basket. They have their cocktail they came up with called the Stone Fence. And the Stone Fence is apple brandy, bitters, lemon wedge, and fresh apple cider. So delish. And you can get this out at the distillery now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The next one, Bellwood Distillings, came up with the Gin Buckaroo. The Gin Buckaroo has aged gin, ginger ale, a dash of lemon, ice cubes, and a lemon wedge. So there you go. That sounds really refreshing and fabulous and fun for the fall. Go on out to Bellwood and order that at any time. And finally, we have Chuckanut Bay. They're right downtown Bellingham, and they came up with a highball with some bourbon. Yay, good old Chuckanut and their bourbon. We've got the juice of half of a lime. You fill the highball glass with ice. You top it with some bourbon and lime juice, then some ginger beer, and add gin chew and a lime slice for garnish. Now, Chuckanut Bay has an actual drink cocktail or cocktail kit that they're selling at the distillery through the weekend, and all the proceeds from those, not all the proceeds, but a portion of the proceeds from the sale of those kits is coming right back here to the Whatcom Museum. So try to support those distilleries. They supported us. We're really happy, and we're really hoping that we can get them back next year when we go back to having a live event. Fingers crossed. Okay, I think it's about time for us to close the silent auction. So I hope you got your last bids in, but I'm going to give you the countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that is closed. Silent auction is closed. So I hope you all had an opportunity to get everything you wished for and hoped for. But right now, we have a message from our sponsor, People's Bank. Okay, thank you so much to People's Bank for sponsoring this event tonight. We appreciate that, and thank you. All right, a couple of fun facts. It's time for fun facts with Althea and Tracy. Yes, so have you ever wondered just how many speakeasies there were in the nation during Prohibition?
I have wondered.
Yeah, I have too, and come to find out, you really can't find out. But you can find out that in New York State alone, which of course is where they all began, there were over 32,000 of them in New York State alone. The most popular of all of them, of course, was the Stork Club and the Puncheon Club. Now, Prohibition was started, well, President Woodrow Wilson was actually president at the time, but it was actually started by a group of women, Christian, I lost my notes already, the Women's Christian organization that wanted to stop drinking because their husbands were being abusive. And the workforce wanted it stopped because they felt their workers were being lazy, they were coming to work hungover and things weren't getting done. So this was a long project of theirs to get Prohibition. And oddly enough, interestingly enough, the nation needed 36 states to agree to Prohibition before they could get it started, and the last state to do so was Utah. How about that? They were the last ones to go ahead and do that. So with that being said, now we're going to go to a video by our board president, Elizabeth Joffrian.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Joffrian, and I have the pleasure of serving as the current president of the Whatcom Museum Foundation Board of Directors. It's truly an honor to serve in this role and to be part of an institution that's so vital to our community. The museum is blessed with a stellar staff of dedicated and talented professionals who bring top quality curation, exhibitions, educational opportunities, and research support for the remarkable art and historical collections in their care. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, our beloved museum was closed to the public for 6 months. In September, we were finally able to reopen with limited capacity, but as you can imagine, with a much tighter budget. The sudden loss of many of our normal revenue streams, including admissions, facility rentals, program fees, and sales in the museum store, have been devastating to our bottom line. Thanks to the good work of the museum staff, we're the recipient of several relief grants, including Federal CARES Act funding. We've also been fortunate to receive support through our partnership with the Art Bridges Foundation, and we've deeply appreciated generous donations from our valued members and community patrons. But these grants and donations have not offset the losses sustained over the spring and summer. And as we enter the fall and winter, we continue to experience declining revenue. On behalf of the Whatcom Museum Foundation Board of Directors, I hope that you'll be especially generous tonight in your support of the Whatcom Museum. Your support is more important now than ever before. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Think back to one of your first experiences in a museum. Who are you with? Why are you there? How do you feel? Maybe you remember feeling awestruck and excited. Maybe you were a little uncertain. Did you feel curious, intrigued? Did you feel brave? Did you feel creative? Why do you remember that experience? Was it something you saw? Or something you were able to create? Maybe you did something you had never done before, made a personal connection to something, or learned something from a loved one or an expert. Whatever the experience, you still remember that museum. And here you are today with us. The Whatcom Museum has been a pillar in our community for almost 8 decades. We are committed to ensuring that future generations have the same access to the arts, history, and cultural opportunities that we've been providing since 1941. As we navigate the special challenges that 2020 has brought us, we recognize that we can't do it alone. We need the support of you, our community, to ensure that we can continue to provide innovative opportunities for learners of all ages to connect, to grow, and to be inspired. Please consider making a donation tonight in support of the Whatcom Museum and help us create memorable moments now and for generations to come.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and welcome back. So we're doing things a little bit upside down. Kind of goes with the theme of the year this year, doesn't it? Before we close the live auction items, we're actually going to get right to the heart of things, which Elizabeth just told us all about, which is the paddle race. I think we can all agree that this year the paddle race is more important than ever before, with kids learning from home, many of them not having access to the arts. This is crucial that we have these education programs for our young people in our community. Whatcom Museum has always been at the forefront of this education, so we appreciate that, and it's time for us to dig deep and really come through for those kids this year. We have 5 levels that I'm going to go over with you tonight of giving, but if none of these levels meet your specifications on what you'd like to donate, feel free. There's 2 boxes on the auction website. One of them says paddle raise, the other one just simply says donate, and you can donate in any dollar increment that you would like. But for right now, we're going to start our donating off at the $2,000 level. $2,000 is our first level tonight, and we want to start off by saying thank you so much to Mary Summerfield and Mike O'Neill, because they have given us $2,000 to get us started tonight, and that's fabulous. I mean, we're off to a good start with our paddle raise, and thank you so much. But if you can give us $2,000, now's the time for you to clickety-clack right there on your mobile device and go ahead, and it's that easy. It's like rip that Band-Aid off and just type it in. It's easy peasy. Our next level tonight is the $1,000 level. The $1,000 level is significant, it's helpful, it's generous, and we want to thank Chuck and Dee Robinson for already starting us off at that $1,000 level. Now, Althea has a couple of things to tell us about an art bequest from the Robinsons, correct?
Yes, so Chuck and Dee have been supporters of the museum for a very long time, but what people may not know is that they have a wonderful art collection of their own, and they actually have included the museum in their estate planning so that their collection will come here to the museum hopefully many, many years in the future. And you can actually see some of their work here. The exhibition that we opened in the Lightcatcher back in September, Anatomy of a Collection, Recent Acquisitions and Promised Gifts, includes works that have been bequested to the museum. So you can come here, see the work that Chuck and Dee usually have at home here in the museum temporarily.
Great, that's amazing. Again, more fabulous community members supporting the museum. With that being said, we're going to move on down to the next level, which is the $500 level. The $500 level, we want to thank so much to the following contributors that have started us off at that level. Sue Lobland, Thank you so much for the $500 donation. Amber and Andy Asbjornson, awesome, thank you so much. And finally, Elizabeth Joffrion and Diana Shank. All of those folks have started us off at that $500 level. So if you feel comfortable donating that much, please go ahead and enter that into your mobile device at this time. Our next level after 500 is the $250 level, and our final level tonight is $100. We are going to conclude our paddle race with the $100, but like I said before, if you'd like to donate either a different amount or at a later time tonight, that will remain open through the weekend?
Through the weekend.
Yeah, through the weekend. So you can always add to it at a later time. Maybe you won't get the live auction item that you're hoping to get and you want to go back and donate some more to the paddle race. Feel free to do that, please. Okay, right now we have a speakeasy history and some stories with Jeff Jewell from the museum's photo archives with Colby Labrie from the Good Time Girls.
Hi, I'm Jeff Jewell from the Whatcom Museum Photo Archives, and we'll be presenting some Prohibition stories and photographs for our virtual Speakeasy Soiree.
Hi, my name is Colby Labrie, and I am the owner and operator of the Good Time Girls Tours. I'm standing here in front of the padded cell in the old basement jail of City Hall. And this padded cell actually was used as the booze vault during Prohibition. I actually have some personal experience with Prohibition stories, as when I was doing my own family research, I found out that my great-grandfather, Emery Labrie, was arrested here in Bellingham in a speakeasy in 1922. A man was arrested in a taxi cab who was delivering a case of alcohol to the Depriles Italian grocery, which was called the Tripoli grocery. The man who was arrested in the taxi cab explained to the police that he was hired by the Deprile brothers to pick up this case of booze at this farm near Ferndale, which was to have been left there by a man named E. Labrie, who was a Canadian. That was my great-grandfather. The Tripoli grocery is raided, and at this time, it just so happens that my great-grandfather was in the building at the time, so he was arrested along with the Deprile brothers and put on trial. During the trial, it came out that basically my great-grandfather and his partner had been stool pigeons and ratted out and set up the Deprile grocery for this bigger bust. However, at the outcome of the trial, the jury found everyone not guilty. Funny how that worked during Prohibition.
We usually think of Prohibition starting in 1920, but in Bellingham, Prohibition had started a decade earlier. Once women had the right to vote in 1910, one of the first things they did was vote out saloons. So all saloons were outlawed as of January 1st, 1911.
Another interesting Prohibition story I have is about one of my favorite local madams. Her name was Joy Stokes, and she was a red-headed looker during the 1920s. Her entire family made their money on moonshine, and Joy also started sex work on the side. She ended up, after her death, leaving a six-figure bequest to Western Washington University, which still operates today as a scholarship for students needing funds to continue their education. So now you know how I made it through Western.
Prior to Prohibition, liquor licenses were sold by the city of Bellingham. So it was in the city council's best interest to issue as many liquor licenses as possible. And the selling of booze eventually came to account for about a third of the city budget. There were more than 60 saloons in Bellingham in 1910 for a population of just over 24,000 people. So the more booze you sold, the more money the city of Bellingham got.
And I just want to give another plug for the museum. We would not be able to tell you all of these awesome stories about Prohibition and other fun things without the resources of the museum and the photo archives. Please support them.
Well, welcome back, folks. You know what? It's coming time for our first closing, and we're doing this in sets this evening, but it's our first closing set of the live auction items. So set number 1 is the following items. We've got Jeff Jewell in the photo archives. This is a photograph of Jeff there and that tour. Now, I want to point out Martha Gillum, if you're out there watching right now, and Carrie Anderson, you are both being outbid at this point. So you need to, this is your last chance to get those final bids in if you want to get this item. This is a fabulous item. It's really unique and one of a kind, and we just don't get to do this very often, do we, at the museum?
No, if you want to know anything about the history of Bellingham, you can ask Jeff. He's like a walking Bellingham encyclopedia. That's amazing. That's fabulous. I just can't wait to see that or hear all about it. You know what? I heard that Sue Lobland was the one that got the small Middeke bowl in the silent auction. So yeah, there it is. And I'm just saying that in part of set 1 is the big Middeke bowl. And so Sue, if you want a match set, this might be your time to get your bid in for that item and make sure that you don't lose out on a full set of the Middeke bowls. Okay, so that's also in lot number 1 tonight, or set number 1. And finally, this is our late entry, but it's a fabulous on the ocean home in Sook, which is on Vancouver Island, just slightly past Port Renfrew. And wow, I wish we could get that picture just a little bit bigger. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Drew. That's fabulous. So here's some photos of this great house. It sleeps 10 people. The owners, because it is in Canada, have already agreed that this house is going to be available for the 2-night weekend 1 year from the date the Canadian border reopens. So you've got a lot of time to use this. Now, Sook, other than having fabulous hiking, and it's a beautiful, beautiful area, it also has some of the finest fishing in the Pacific Northwest. My husband and I go there every year, and this is fabulous. So you want to take the whole family out fishing. There's lots of dock space that is government or public-owned dock space that you can get in over there to take your fishing boat with you. Okay, so we have all 3 of these items that we're ready to close. We're closing them now in 30 seconds. So get your final bids in. We don't want you to miss out. How are we doing here? Let's see what we're doing on those live auction items and see if we have any last minute bids. Oh, here we go. Yes, the Sook home is up to $1,200. That's really climbed up quite a bit. So this is literally your last 20 seconds to get those final bids in. All right, folks? So now is your chance. The 3 items that we're selling in set number 1 tonight is Jeff Jewell in the photo archives, the Middeke bowl, and the Sook home sleeps 10 people for 2-night stay. And here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's closed. That first set is now closed. So thank you very much for getting your bids in. I appreciate that. It's time for us to show you another one of our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Jorge Alvarez from Heritage Bank. Heritage is a community bank focused on our communities and helping customers who have or will build their heritage in our local markets. That's one of the many reasons that we're proud to be a sponsor of the Whatcom Museum, as they help preserve the rich heritage in our little corner of the world. Please consider joining us tonight in supporting the important work that the museum does. Bid often, bid high. Thank you.
Hi, welcome back. It's time for some more Prohibition and Speakeasy fun facts, because we are Speakeasy themed. So we thought we'd tell you a little bit more about what Prohibition was like in Bellingham.
Oh.
Jeff and Colby already told you a little bit, but they probably didn't tell you that there were actually portions of town that wanted to secede after Prohibition passed in 1910.
Really?
Yeah, I know, isn't that crazy?
Let's just break off.
The south side of town, they wanted to reestablish Fairhaven as a saloon town, because some of the citizens of the South Side were still not super happy that they'd had to join together with New Whatcom to become Bellingham in 1903 anyway. And then the Old Town merchants on Holly Street wanted to start North Bellingham, and they, quote, wanted to return to the good times that were untrammeled by dry laws and inconvenient city ordinances.
Well, let's face it, if it wasn't for alcohol, many of us would not be getting through what we're going through right now. And hasn't Fairhaven always wanted to be by themselves? I feel like they have. I don't know. So that's great fun facts about our local community and Prohibition. So thank you so much for that, Althea. Oh, you know what, folks? It's time already to close our next set for our live auction items. And we have three items again. The first one is at Alexandria Nicole Winery in Eastern Washington. But Patricia is here to actually tell us a little bit more about that item.
Hello again. I am at the Alexandria Nicole Vineyard Tiny House, and I have to tell you, this is absolutely the most amazing experience I think we've ever had. It's absolutely gorgeous. We're set here in the middle of the vineyards. It's amazing. There's fruit, there's grapes. We're encouraged to pick the grapes. There's a tasting room, probably just a couple hundred yards from here, with games. There's croquet and badminton and all kinds of things to do, a bocce ball court. And I think you saw my film of what the cabin has, all the amenities. The kitchen is fully equipped. There's all kinds of spices and cooking things. It's, oh my gosh, you have to bid on this. It's an amazing experience. And pets are welcome.
Great, thank you, Patricia. She just went there for a little visit, and thank you so much for that video. It really gives us a little bit more of an insight on what you're going to get at Alexandria Nicole. So that is one of the items in set number 2 that we're going to be closing in just 5 minutes. Those items are closing at 6:40, so we've got about 4.5 minutes left on those items. The next item that we will be closing, oh, you're probably wondering what this little barrel's been sitting here for all night long. Well, Althea's going to tell you about it.
So if you have been scrolling through the auction items and you've seen the custom aged cocktails experience, this is the barrel that they would be aged in. So our very good friend Rob Camandona, who's the treasurer of our board, you may have watched his cocktail mixing tutorials over the course of this last week. If you haven't, I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and check them out. He actually mixed all 3 of the different cocktails. We've got fun little videos on that.
These 3?
Those 3.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, they're super
Very
fun. So he has gotten into aging cocktails. So what you'll do is you'll, send some emails back and forth. You'll tell him what you like in terms of a cocktail. He recommends a spirit-forward one, so like a Negroni. And then he mixes it up and ages it in this barrel for 1 to 2 months. And then you get this custom cocktail that has been aged in a charred oak barrel. It imparts a lot of smokiness to it. It's just a very unique experience.
Yeah. Could be shaken, not stirred, or not at all. Just aged. That's awesome. Okay, so that is item number 2 in this set that we're going to be closing here now in about 3 minutes. And our final item, what's that?
About 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes left. Oh, yes, we do. 2 minutes left before we're going to sell all of these. So get those last minute bids in. And finally, folks, this is the one that really needs some attention by you, is our French bistro inspired dinner that's going to be up at Homestead in the private home. And this chef is going to be serving you this fabulous French inspired dinner. The chef is Terry Redden. And I just have to tell you a few of the items that you're missing out on here by not bidding on this item. We've got starters with smoked oysters on the half shell, smoked trout, and a warm yuzu custard. He's going to have a Dungeness crab and celery root chowder. The main dish is going to be wild boar rib rack with whiskey apples, a white bean chard, and each course, by the way, comes with wine, all right? The final is going to be Calvados souffle. Yum, delicious. And currently we're really looking for some bidding on this one, so help us out and get your bids in there. We want to thank all of our donors for that item. But now you've got just 30 seconds left before we close this entire set. So just to recap, We have the aged cocktails with Rob, or by Rob, okay? We have the bistro dinner, French bistro inspired dinner at Homestead in a private residence, and the tiny homes at the Alexandria Nicole Vineyards in Eastern Washington. All right, we're getting down to it. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Get those last bids in there. 4, 3, 2, 1. And that set is now closed. We are closing the live set number 2. All right. Thank you so much for that. And you know what? It's time to hear from yet another one of our sponsors, Salish Wealth Management.
At Salish Wealth Management, we know that wealth means more than investment and finances. It means a life enriched by history, by culture, and by experiences. Museums are an invaluable addition to the prosperity of our community, providing us opportunities to see, to learn, and to do. That is why we are a proud sponsor of the Whatcom Museum, and we hope that you will join us tonight in showing your support.
All right, it's time for some more fun facts. Now, I did finally find in my notes because I was not finding them, but it was the Women's Christian Temperance Union. That was the name of the women's group that was really advocating strongly for prohibition and inevitably won. And it was ratified. And like I told you before, the 36th state to come to that conclusion was Utah, which is a little surprising, I think we could all agree. But it wasn't until 1966. 1966, okay? I was already born by then. The nation as a whole had still not ratified the 21st Amendment, which was to get rid of the 18th Amendment. The last state to hold out and was a dry state until 1966, Mississippi. How about that? Mississippi. Good old Mississippi. So we had that prohibition for maybe a little bit longer in some states than we had ever realized. Of course, the Women's Union did all of this because it was for the good of the people. But what it really ended up happening was it spawned the mob, and Al Capone and mob families, mostly in New York, Chicago, Buffalo, upstate New York, and we all pretty much know how that goes, and that's for a whole nother themed event, is the mob.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next year, yeah, maybe we'll talk about that. Right now, we have another video for you, and we've got Amy and Maria, and they're here to tell us about an evening in collections storage.
And I'm the curator of art at the Whatcom Museum. And right now I'm in the collection storage where we house all of our art. And you might get a sneak peek into this space if you bid on this auction item. Right now we are working on preparing a painting by Michael Daly. This is a wonderful acrylic on canvas that we're preparing for loan. And my colleague Maria and I are dusting it off and making sure it's fit to travel. And I'll show you another piece that we're also preparing for travel as well. Another piece that you might see in the basement is this piece by George Tsutakawa, which is a Sumi ink drawing that we're preparing to take to the Smithsonian for a tour that's going to lead the piece through 5 museums in the next 4 years.
Hi, I'm Maria Coltharp. I'm the collection curator and registrar at the Whatcom Museum. I work closely with Amy Kalupka, the curator of art, as we are the stewards of this collection. It's not just an art collection, as you know. There's lots of amazing things from the history of this region as well, and there's just a lot of exciting things to see down here. We can't wait to show you around. For example, this Diego Rivera brush and ink drawing from 1938, which I'm currently researching with a professor at Harvard, Christy McDonald. The inscription on this drawing is very mysterious. It's to Ann Eisner, another artist in our collection, who was not in Mexico in 1938 when Diego Rivera was there hosting Leon Trotsky when Mexico granted him asylum. So it's a bit of a mystery, and it's something that we're very excited to be looking into further. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of wonderful things in collection storage that we can't wait to show you. Please bid on our item.
Thank you, Amy and Maria. We love that. And that is actually one of our final auction items that we're going to close here in set number 3. It's the collections item. We have about 6 minutes left before we close this final 3 items in our live auction tonight. it's a little odd for me to not be able to actually do any bid calling and play with y'all and do some live bidding, but this is okay. We're getting this done. It's important to both Althea and I that we keep things flowing with you tonight and that we get you out of here in a timely manner, because we know that you have plans of your own. There's probably Jeopardy on later or something like that. But now you're going to know everything about speakeasies if that subject comes up. But we promise to have you out of here at the very, very latest 7 o'clock. So we're going to be closing that last set of auction items here now in just 5 minutes. And just to wrap it up, 4 minutes, excuse me, just to wrap it up, we have the collections, which right now, I want to just point out, we have a couple of people that have really been bidding strong on this. We have the Reinhardts that are really interested in this, and we have Rabidou Pace and Caitlin Elwick, and you're both out of the running right now. So if you want to get that item, you better get back in there and bid a little bit more, because right now Richard Borden is beating you out. All right, we have 3.5 minutes left for this last and final auction set. The second item is the Porsche weekend. Look at this. This is Sun Mountain Lodge in Winthrop, kind of between Winthrop and Twisp. This package is included with the Porsche that we have from Roger Jobs. So we want to thank them very much, but a great package right over there in style. Stay at the Sun Mountain Lodge, and yeah, fabulous. And then the final item in this set is the Summer Garden Dinner at Marlena Flukiger's place up in White Rock. And of course, because of the border, Marlena has been kind enough to be very, very flexible about this. But her place, I just want you to see a few of the photos of this master gardener's home up in White Rock. And I think the final photo that we have here to show you is of the delicious food. Oh my gosh, that makes me hungry looking at that. So those are the 3 items that we have. The collections item, the Porsche, driving it over to Winthrop to stay at Sun Mountain Lodge, and finally this summer dinner in White Rock at Marlena's house. All right, we have 2 minutes left for you to get those final bids in for these live auction items. And I'm just going to take a look and see where we are with these items and see how it's going. The collection storage item is going for $400 right now, so if you want to get in, the Summer Garden is up to $2,000. Yay, way to go. And the Porsche is gaining ground quickly at $800. So if you'd like to get those last bids in, now is your time. You've got just 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go before we close it down. After we close out this final live set, we have just a couple of extra things we're going to go over with you, and then we're going to call it a night. But we want to thank you so much for being here. You've got 1 minute 20 seconds left to bid on these final live auction items. Althea, anything you want to add about any of those items that I may have forgotten?
You know, they're all really fantastic.
Sun Mountain is 1 night or 2?
It's 2.
2 nights.
Yep, and I was just there in July, and let me tell you, if you haven't been to Sun Mountain Lodge,
it's gorgeous.
You have to go.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
There's so much to do there.
So much to do. They've got great hiking trails, close to some backcountry skiing in the winter, if you're into that. If you're there in the summer, they've got a great little lake. You can rent paddle boards or kayaks.
Take your own paddleboard.
Yeah.
And fall in Winthrop is beautiful. It's a little bit warmer for sure than it is here. So, all right, 45 seconds are left at this time on these final items in our live auction set number 3. So if you'd like to go to Winthrop and Sun Mountain, now's your chance to get that package right now. Okay. Behind the scenes, let's see how behind the scenes is doing. Still at 400. So a couple of you are missing out on those bids. I saw that you bid on it early, and right now you are out of the running. So get in there. You've got just a few seconds left to go. Here we go. It's our final countdown, folks. We're at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's closed. That is our final set. That's all we have left for the live auction items tonight. Thank you so much for those of you that bid and your generosity. Right now we have a final donor message from Mary Summerfield and Mike O'Neill.
Good evening. I'm Mike O'Neill, and this is my wife, Mary Summerfield. Mary is Vice President of the Whatcom Museum Foundation Board. When we moved to Bellingham a decade ago, we were impressed by the architecture of the new Lightcatcher building and by the quality of the art presented there, both in exhibits curated by the museum staff and by traveling exhibitions from the Smithsonian and elsewhere.
Since then, the museum staff and supporters have continuously strengthened its facilities and programming. Think of how the old City Hall's exhibits on human and natural history have evolved in content and educational value. Think of the Lightcatchers, People of the Sea and Cedar, as well as exhibits such as the marvelous Ed Brill retrospective. Think of the Fit, which is getting better all the time in serving area families.
The Whatcom Museum is an important part of our community and our personal lives. The museum can be what it is and what we want it to become, only if all of us support it financially.
We are pleased to make the Whatcom Museum a primary recipient of our charitable giving each year. This year, the museum's needs are much greater than usual. We hope that you will join us in donating generously to the museum tonight.
Well, thank you, everyone. This actually comes to the closing of our virtual event tonight. We want to thank you all so much for being here. A couple of things we want to point out to you. You may have noticed that we have these archive photos available. Two ways you can get them. For $20, they're just the print. For $70, you get it matted and framed in this style. All of these photos, the 5 that are listed on the auction website, all tell you the complete history of all these photos, from the Charlie Chaplin costume contest that they had down in Fairhaven, to showing buildings that aren't even there any longer, and to this young lady who was a pilot taking flying lessons at what is now considered the Eldridge neighborhood. Lafayette Street is where this was taken. Lafayette Street, which is just above Squalicum Parkway there. And they actually had a runway for flying, because that was all the rage back in the 20s as well. So all of these are available. You can go online and do that through the weekend. They're all in black and white. They're fabulous, and they all have history attached to them. So we want to make sure that we let you know about that. But thank you once again. Althea's got a few parting words, but I do want to thank you so much for being with us tonight. And gosh, I hope you enjoyed our virtual event.
Thank you, Tracy. I have just a handful of people that I want to thank, starting, of course, with our sponsors, our presenting sponsor, People's Bank, and then our other sponsors, Heritage Bank, U.S. Bank, Salish Wealth Management, and then Capital City Press, our printing sponsor. So huge thanks to all of you, especially for sticking with us as we've transitioned this event from several different iterations of what it was supposed to be. Thanks to all of you. Thank you so much to our program committee. That's Sue and Dave Suter, who have been amazing. Yeah. And then Marlena Flukager, Amber Esbjornson, Rob Camandona, Elizabeth Joffreyon, and Dana Hardy. Thank you to all of you for all your hard work on this. We couldn't have done it without you. A huge thank you, as always, to the Museum Foundation Board of Directors for all of your support, of course. They have all been fantastic as we've gone through the last 6 or 7 months together.
So supportive.
So huge thanks to them. Thank you very much to the donors of all of our items. We've had a lot of very generous people. I've been very touched by the support we've gotten from the community and from individuals. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to the team internally who's been working on this. Drew has picked up a lot of new skills. He's our lead educator. Christina has been here with us tonight. She's our marketing and PR manager. Stephanie in the store took some great pictures for the auction items. And then Jeff, of course, in the photo archives is just, like I said before, so much knowledge in that brain, and he's been a ton of help as well. Thank you to Tracy.
You bet.
I
feel like I'm part of the team.
You really are. I've really enjoyed working with you over the last couple of years, and just thank you from all of us for helping out here. And thank you to our distillery partners. They also stuck with us through this whole thing, and we really appreciate, probably shouldn't, Bellwood and Chuckanut Bay for continuing, getting a lot of emails from me.
Yeah, that's right.
And just being super flexible. So thank you to everyone.
Cheers to everyone. Here you go, Speakeasy. Hey, and don't forget to support those small businesses that support us, right? Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.